Hello everyone, this is Danielle from empoweredreadings.com. So today I just really wanted to keep the reading very open. I couldn't find a theme or a question to ask in specific topic or anything like that, so I just thought, well, maybe that's the answer. I should just pull cards and see what comes up. I think there could be a variety of messages, anywhere from love life, career, finances, just where to go in general, what's happening in your life right now, mental health, inner child work, you name it. I'm open for it coming in. So how I'm going to word the question for today's reading is, what is going on in your general life right now? What do you need to know? We have a amethyst cluster. We have this fossilized seashell in a rock that I can't even remember where I found a long time ago, but I just thought I'd add it in today. And we actually have two pieces of apotholite, if I'm saying it right. We have a cluster, or we have just this really perfect square cube. And then we have this rainbow aura crystal, just a tumblestone. And then we have this big piece of labradorite. Sorry, it's always so hard to say the words because you see them written all the time, but it's very rare that I actually have someone speak them to me. So the first thing I like to get people to do is take 4 deep breaths. You do it by breathing in air from above your head. So if you can picture that, like air coming down from above your head, down through your nose, all the way to your core, center, stomach, whatever you like to call it. And then you release it slowly out your mouth. And that way your air is doing the full circle through your body. And you do this 4 or more times just to make sure that your breath is very regulated and you're actually getting in that oxygen. It's just so that this reading is the most accurate and most beneficial it can be for you. All right, and then from there, you're going to look at all the piles. You're going to ask yourself that question. What do I need to know? What's happening in my general life right now? What do I need to hear? And look at each pile. And sometimes you don't even need to look. One just jumps out at you right away. Sometimes people need to actually look at each one. Some people might look at the crystal itself, or they'll look at the deck below it and just see what's in their eye. You can also go into the description box and see the numbers associated with each pile. Sometimes that's easier for people, something about the numbers just calling out to them. So then choose your piles, and then I'll see you in your card readings. Hello, pile 1. Okay, so the amethyst cluster. Very nice stone. And I'm just gonna go right ahead and start drawing your cards and get right into it. Okay, pile 1. I am picking up a few different things here. I do think some messages are going to be very specific to one person. I am going to try my best to make sure that I don't just get sucked into that one energy and only talk about that. So this part is for everyone, where I'm seeing just this reminder, and might seem a little bit out of nowhere, about making sure you guys are smudging, clearing your jewelry or crystals that you like to have in an office or in your home a little more often. I do see specifically, I'm going to try to say it correctly, lapis lazuli is a really important stone for this pile. I have a piece of it here. See this? So if you have a stone that looks like this, it probably is lapis lazuli. And it feels like a really good crystal for this pile. I'm seeing that you have this really great idea that's going to bring a lot of service and healing to people. And They want you to keep listening to those divinely guided ideas and not worry about it coming from a place of wishful thinking, because everything I see here, the angels are saying like they've given you this idea, whatever this, I do believe it's going to be a product that's produced from your idea, is going to heal and bring a lot of healing to people. It's going to be something that makes everyone's lives easier. And I literally keep thinking you guys like have a like the golden egg idea. I don't know if that even makes sense. I think that's like a storybook or something about a golden egg. I'm not sure, but maybe it means something to you. But it is saying that it's time to take action. They want to see this brought into the physical reality, and they're guiding you and entrusting you to do that. And they are helping you keep this idea protected. I think some of you have some anxiety or some worries around people stealing the idea from you. So they are saying, though, make sure you're continuously asking the angels or your guides for their help, protection, and guidance around this. Just make sure that they have permission from you to do so, because they can't do anything because you do have free will. They have to be invited in. And I just see a lot around. I have no idea what this is, but I feel like it could be something to do with like a medical device, like I almost feel like it could be like a hip replacement device or something like that, that's actually going to be more helpful and safe for the user. That is a very specific example. So that's not going to be for everyone. It's going to be for one person specific, but that is the one that's coming up as a specific one. The rest is just telling me it's just something to do with, I keep on saying a business, and bringing something in, a service that is really, really helpful. In all cases, these things all are amazing. And then we do have a great need for them, because the angels wouldn't be saying, like, there's such a strong push from them to be like, please, 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 follow your intuition, keep listening to your guidance, keep listening to your gut. It's pointing you in the right direction. And that actually could even be why this career transition could be, because whatever this is going to become a really big part of your career. For some of you, it's just meaning that there's going to be more harmony in your career, the place you're currently at. I keep thinking like there's going to be more of a love for the job you're doing. And it could even be that you'll have better, more aligned people in your life at the workplace or working with you to get this idea out, or just in your job in general. Archangel Shamuel is the angel of bringing in people in our lives. So it doesn't have to just be like a romantic relationship. It could be people, soulmates can just be like really good colleagues or friends, or even parents that teach us very key important lessons in our lives. And it's really good to see that come out in a career card, because whatever it is divinely guided, meaning you are doing the thing that your soul wanted you to do. It's like whatever that's shifting, wherever you end up, is exactly where your soul wants to be. So that's, these three cards here are just absolutely amazing. And then I have to point out everything else I'm seeing here, these 4, 5, I guess, cards are all talking about healing. So that's why I keep thinking this device or this thing has something to do with the medical world. I can't say that it will be true for everyone, because it is general card reading, but they don't usually have all these healing cards unless they truly believe that this is going to make people's lives that much easier, or actually bring a physical or spiritual, emotional healing to them. Amazing. This pile is like very, very amazing people. This card here reminds us the importance of, if we're ever feeling like anxiety, worry, stress, our minds are overreacting. I shouldn't say overreacting. They're just kind of going in hyperdrive. And you'll know this because you won't be able to sleep very well at night. You'll have ongoing lists going on in your head. You wake up and you're like, okay, I have to keep working on the same list because it's so big, I can't get it done. If that's kind of sounding like you, They're saying just remember why you're doing this. The passion and the ideas aren't going to go away. You don't have to worry about sleeping and forgetting them. They're saying just say, I want to be of service to the universe, or words that are similar to that. Like, how can I be of the greatest service to the world or to the universe or to the angels, whatever resonates with you. And they're saying, the angels are saying that that's going to really help you keep your perspective good, keep you kind of focused in the right places, and remind you not to stress so much, because this idea, these thoughts are all coming from a higher divine place. And I really got to stress, like, not everyone has such an opportunity, and it's really amazing that this is something your soul has chosen to do in its lifetime. And that being said, if you are this connected to the angelic realms and you are constantly receiving messages, it is saying you are going to be extra sensitive to energies right now. I'll just actually read what this card says. So it says, you are extra sensitive to energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. It could mean that you guys might be a little more empathic than normal. You could already just be empaths, but everything's going to be hitting you maybe a little bit higher because you've opened yourself up to receiving divine guidance and energies around you. Unfortunately, the other side of that is that you feel everything more. You might be a little more sensitive to chemicals and foods. So if you've noticed, like, I've been feeling a little bit weird every time I've gone out to a restaurant and eaten something, and you've kind of have like a mental, like, that's kind of strange. This is kind of a message here saying, that's amazing, follow your intuition. There is something there, something that isn't, your body isn't loving digesting, and it could just be the energy in it. It's very interesting to say this. Myself, so I live in Canada, have some food issues here in Canada and US, but when I go to Europe and I'm in like these small farming communities where you feel the love people put into their crop, they cycle out their growing fields so they'll not use it for a few years so that it can replenish. I remember eating food down there, and I felt like all the food energetically had way more life to it, and I felt fine eating most foods. There's still a couple of items, that just aren't in this life for me to eat, and that's totally fine. But I remember coming back and being like, this is really very interesting thing to have seen, is that all the energy of love and good intention that went into the food over there truly had an impact on how my body digested the food. So just be a little aware of maybe what the commonalities are in what you're eating and what's bothering you. And then that being said, there is this technique that I can't remember the name of the guy who discovered it. I believe he was a Chinese man, but don't quote me on that. I can't quite remember. I remember hearing his name a few times, and he did these experiments where he would put like rice in a jar, and he would have all his students say really hateful things to one jar of rice and only positive loving things to another jar of rice. And the one that had all the positive things said to it actually never went bad. It stayed good. I think it was like for a year or something crazy. Like I said, don't quote me on this. I can't remember it exactly, but it was like a time where the rice should be disgusting by then. And then the rice that had all the negative energy was this black moldy thing, and he had shown that it had gotten there way quicker than it should have. And it was just, he did a bunch of different things like this with water, and he found that things that had the most water in its build, in its, I hope that makes sense, like in its scientific, like molecular formation, was affected the most by energy. And then if you think about food, a lot of food is mostly water, like humans are mostly water. So they're saying it just goes to show that the energy that you put towards the food, or even like yourself, has such a remarkable influence on its health. So it's a bit of a rant, but I guess all I was trying to say around that is, if there's some food that you really like eating, or you're worried that some food's been bothering you, just make sure when you're cooking your food that you're not thinking about things that stress you out or angry at someone, because that energy goes into your food. Try being like, oh, I'm so grateful for this meal, this food looks so colorful and so good. Oh, this is like my favorite dish. I love it so much. And it might seem strange, but it has been proven to make a difference in how your body digests that food. Even if it's not healthy food, if you put lemon to it, it actually is taken in better. Yeah, I'm not also condoning just eating junk food all the time, but it's just very interesting to see how those things have such a big impact on us and our food and everything around us. All right, moving on. That actually could go a little bit with the body care card here. Making sure that you're taking care of yourself. You know, eating right. I think sleep is a very big thing for this pile. There's nothing here that is specifically telling me that it might be an issue, but I just have this hunch, this feeling that sleep is challenging because I feel like there is just so many thoughts going on that your brain doesn't turn off and let you sleep. And I don't think that was always like it for this pile. I think it might just be this thing that started in the last little bit. Maybe it's even been for a year. And they really want you to prioritize, how to say this. I feel like people are already like, well, I have to do all this stuff. How am I gonna like stop thinking about it? The way I see it is important to still do things that are just fun for you, even though you might be really passionate about this idea, this project. That's amazing. But in order to not burn out, they want to see you kind of stepping aside from that from time to time. Like say at 6 p.m. you don't work on it anymore. You just do things for you, whether it's drinking non-caffeinated beverages. I think is really important. I kind of see that they might be worried that in the long term, when I see angels worried about burnout with people, they're always saying adrenal fatigue. So that is a very real thing for people who drink a lot of caffeine and have all these thoughts in their brain all the time and having a hard time falling asleep. To be careful with that. So drinking herbal teas is something that is very good. And also a lot of those types of herbal teas have plants in them that help with stress, digestion of foods, clearing the mind. So they have lots of like healing things that are specific to those types of plants, which would be really beneficial, I believe, but also it's always just a suggestion what comes up. You only ever do what feels true and good for you. Vulnerability card, and it has me a little bit confused. I feel like I'm trying to get my mind around the concept they're trying to tell me. There's something about you separating two things about yourself, and I'm having a hard time understanding fully what it is. I feel like it's almost separating your emotions from what you need to do, or it could be keeping... It's funny, they always usually say what your heart wants, and it's usually just like things that most people might not see a point in doing because maybe it doesn't get them anywhere other than like for the human joy, for feeling love, for feeling just like the fun and the friendships around you, the family relationships, anything like that, then that is important. I feel like you might be having a bit of a craving for more of that, but I'm not positive. I'm not positive I'm getting this message right. It's telling me something's being separated from something else, and it's emotion related. It could even also be for some of you, you're separating your emotions from your decisions, not wanting to make an emotional decision. And it's actually kind of not super helpful to always make decisions that way, because that's usually how we end up having regrets, because we wanted to do something but we didn't because we just thought the other thing was the right thing to do. But in truth, honoring your emotions is always going to be the best thing for you. And I feel like you might be worried that I feel like there's this retaliation message coming up from some people who might be watching this are, well, if I just want to sit on the couch and I honor that, then I never get anything done. But those aren't really the emotions we're talking about. We're talking about if you feel passion, or you have like a dream to be a really good, I don't know, soccer player or dancer, something like that, then they're like, then go towards that. Do things that still get you doing that. Those are very random examples. Like whatever emotions these are, you're almost trying to keep them a secret, and you're not really letting other people in and know about them. So I almost feel like there's a bunch of different messages all in this one card, and that could be why it's so hard to quite read it properly. But there's definitely a division within yourselves, and it's between your emotions and your logic, between what you think you should do and what society expects of you versus what you want to do and feel passionate about. It could also even be about letting people in on the struggles you've been having, because if you're not sleeping very well, you're always feeling like you have a lot on your plate, you got a lot of worries about things, we really do need some support from our like relatives or our good friends to kind of get us through that. And I should maybe just even read the card. It says, listen to your vulnerable feelings as they contain wisdom and inspiration, and then pray for strength to focus on your priorities no matter what. Yeah, so it is very interesting. What I keep getting is just that it's important to honor your emotions and not see them as weaknesses or vulnerabilities. Because when we're like united with our whole selves, our emotions, our desires, our dreams, our wants, it's usually when we can make the best decisions because we have all the information. And then this card is also very interesting. It says, I guess this is where the one it's saying, like, don't forget to ask for help from the angels and give them permission to help you. Some of you, I actually feel like might be a mixture between someone who's spiritual and someone who's Christian. I don't think it's going to be for everyone, but I do keep, like, the last two cards here keep making me think, oh, some of you kind of have this adapted Christian belief systems where it's not so traditional. And I do think for those of you, or even you don't even have to be Christian to work with Jesus, you know, a lot of people in this card reading realm, Reiki, I should even say, who work with Jesus or Mother Mary, funny enough, a lot of them have said they were hesitant to work with them because they came from Christian upbringings and felt a bit uncomfortable with it. But now it's like one of their main guides. So I do know that Jesus and Mother Mary are very present in energy work. And this one here is saying you ask Jesus if you feel comfortable, or the angels, dear Jesus, thank you for your divine healing power and presence. So just don't be afraid to ask them for support and healing energy, they even said. And I think this could also be the solution they're trying to give to you about the insomnia or the restlessness at night that some of you are feeling, or even anxiety or stress around things or worry for others. I would say the solution being given is to ask Jesus or Archangel Metatron, Archangel Michael, or even Raphael. That gives you quite the few options if you're not comfortable with Jesus, to send you healing energy and give you the ability to be present in your life right now. That's something I also should have mentioned. So whenever we get a lot of anxiety around things, it usually means we're not very grounded. And don't worry, not being grounded is just the human struggle. Most of us aren't ever really fully grounded. We just seem to be for times. But I feel like the true mission in the human life is to learn how to be grounded as much as possible. And that actually kind of is one of the first cards that stood out to me was this, which is red. And anytime I see red, it means, oh, we gotta work on grounding. Which I should have seen that right away with the message around a bit of anxiety, worry, concerns around things. So I do find it very, very cool how it came up in this card as well about healing energy and the power of presence. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so try your best to ask when you notice your thoughts are racing, when you're not able to sleep, to ask for that. I was always taught, if I'm having a hard time feeling grounded, to ask Mother Earth to reach up and hang on to like my ankles or my calves and root me in her energy. I can be grounded, and I do find that really helps on times where my brain's extra crazy. I'm not feeling able to be grounded or connected. How that look is not only just making all those lists, thinking a lot about what you have to do in the future or what you should have done in the past is another example. Then it's a really good time to take 4 deep breaths, ask Mother Earth to ground you. Here, they did specifically give you the suggestion of asking someone from the spiritual realm, like Jesus or an angel, to help ground you and keep you in the present. So I would take that advice, because whatever reason about this pile, that's quite important. It could just be where you're from, your soul on a energy level really needs that Jesus energy or presence, or angel energy or presence. And that's just cool. That's just more information you have about yourself and your soul and what it likes and needs. And then the other card I kept being drawn to is, this says sense of humor. I think this pile, like as soon as I see that card, the energy I get off of it is that sometimes people around you, they might say silly things or maybe even slightly hurtful things, but it's really just coming from this very self-aware human place. And they're saying if you take it to heart, it's going to be a lot harder versus if you just see it as that. Like they're just very unaware. It's just the silliness of the human within them that's saying that. It's the ego that's coming out. And then find a way to kind of laugh at it, like, wow, that was kind of a silly thing to say. And you don't need to necessarily say that to the person, but they're saying it's going to help you not internalize it as judgment or criticism from others. And I know that's always easier said than done, but that's also just their suggestion for you. I do also want to say for this pile, if you've ever done energy healing, I don't know why I keep saying energy healing. So maybe you should go get an energy healing session, because I didn't even mean to say that, but it came out. Energy shielding, making sure I said that word right. And I would shield in gold bubble, or you know what, they don't usually say this, but lapis lazuli feels so important. And I would say if you could look at this crystal and then kind of picture what a circle energy bubble would look like made out of this kind of color, it has bits of gold in it, white, cream, and dark blue, and visualize like that in a circle around you as an energy shield. I think that's going to be really good for this pile. Can't quite say why. You could try looking more into the crystal. I just kind of remember quick facts about them. So for me, this is really good for divine guidance, inspiration, kind of clarity, intuition. And it seems like you guys are kind of really channeling a lot of energy in right now from the higher realms. So I think that could be really good. And it's also going to be very protective. And that will kind of help with the being extra sensitive to energies right now. And I think it's going to make you feel better about making sure only good people are coming in and hearing about this idea. Because I do feel like there could be some worry or fear about people taking the idea and kind of, I don't want to say ruining it, but kind of making it not as pure and as good as you want it to be. And because the angels really do want to see it come out in the best way, the most healing, helpful way, and service way for people, they are going to help you with that. So that is the main message behind this, is that they're there, they're working with you. It's time for you to start taking as much action around it as you can. Yeah. Okay. And then just the last card I want to talk about here is reignite your life force by gazing into a cozy fire, recharging in the sunlight, or lighting a candle. Allow fire to spark your vision and vitality. So this is kind of when I saw these two cards about remembering to do the things that are fun for you, just for pure joy, just for pure excitement, because it is part of self-care. It is part of... Sorry, this kind of made me go down a different stream here. If whatever it is you're doing involves a lot of computer work or sitting work to get it figured out or created, the body likes movement to stay healthy, both physically but energetically. It keeps the flow of energy moving. And in the long run, that obviously helps with health and just overall energy flow and keeping that intuition going, those channeled messages coming in good. So they do often say dancing is a really good thing to do, whether it's just dancing around your house for, I'm going to say like a half an hour or an hour. That really, because usually there's like hip movements in dance, there's arm movements, leg movements, head movements. It really gets everything moving. So if there's any stuck energy, it's literally shaking it out. That's why the angels often will have these messages around dance more, have more fun, because they really love dance because it gets all those different body parts moving. But that being said, fire does feel important. So this, it's funny, I don't usually say this, but you guys could be a fire sign. And it could be that you just really connect with that energy. You really need the energy of that element right now. And I do think if you do like lighting candles and journaling, writing down what you want for yourself, goal steps and things like that, doing it over candlelight would be really good for this group. And something just watching the fire feels really good. I don't mean that in like a weird, you're gonna go light things on fire way, but something about fire energy is really important right now. And it could even be about needing that kind of energy to get this all done. So yeah, you could even try looking up and researching a little bit on Google, like how does the fire element work with us energetically, because they do know people do work with actual elements sometimes. So that could be a good thing for you to look into. I haven't ever done that personally, although I'm in no way against it. Express the passion of fire. So I would just also say making sure you're having fun and doing fun things. I've said that a few times now, but it's pretty important. Yeah, okay. And I'm not sure if I actually read this card, so I'll just say it quickly before I go here. It says, the healing angel is with you, supporting your healing work. So it's just another confirmation about whatever it is you're doing is really great for humanity, society, for people around you. And if you're having any doubts about that, don't worry, because the angels know that you're coming from a great place and they really want to make sure that you keep going. Yeah, so don't give up on this, because the angels really, really want it for you. They really want it for everyone. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Hopefully that resonated to some of you, and I'll catch you next week or some other time. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. You guys chose this fossilized seashell. All right, we're just going to get right into it. Okay, Pile 2. Picking up on having felt a bit isolated recently or lonely, and I'm kind of seeing that you guys have been in this place of being a bit down in the dumps, and I can see that you guys have been trying to get yourself out of this place, but it's been very hard, and it's very hard to get out of things when you feel very alone and very isolated. What I'm getting from this reading is just suggestions on how to help you get out of that place, because it's been a very lonely, gross place to be stuck in, and the angels are offering you some suggestions. So do remember, you only do the ones that resonate with you, because it is a general card reading. It's going to be for a bunch of people, but hopefully within these suggestions there is something that resonates with you to help you get out of this place, because I'm so sorry you're stuck there. It feels really not an ideal place to be, especially if you're watching this as it comes out. It's getting really close to the holiday times, and usually that can bring up a lot of pressure. If you have any problems with family dynamics, all those start coming up, and it's already a hard enough time that we really don't need you in this place already. So let's see what we can do to get you out of it. This compassion card, I don't see it as a lack of compassion for others. I get it as you might be lacking a bit of compassion for yourself. And that ties in with maybe having some frustrations with your physical bodies. It could be, I think some of you, it could be allergies or physical limitations. It could be maybe that you're not super coordinated, or you might not be as fit as somebody else. There's something around that, some kind of hardness you have with your physical body, and it's just wanting you to have a little more compassion with it, a little more gentleness with it. Even if you're like, well, none of these feel true to me, it's saying that sometimes you can forget to check in with the physical body and see how it's doing, what it needs. And it's just trying to bring to your awareness that has either started to happen or has been happening for a little while. Suggestions that I'm getting from this card reading is, depending on what you feel open to, is it really wants you to start doing some activities that involve an expression of self. How that looks is yoga would be great. Like getting the body to physically express your emotions would be really good, because the physical body is feeling disconnected from you, like your soul. It would really benefit from, I would say, like contemporary dance, because it's a very expressive way to use your body to show emotions within songs. You could watch a YouTube video about it, or maybe you've even grown up doing that. So then the yoga would be really great. I think even for some of you, it could be painting or poetry. And that one might throw some of you for a loop. Really just expressing and releasing a lot of emotions within them. And that's really, really good. I think your bodies would really love that as well. Poetry would be an amazing way to get the words out of your body and do it with this creative flair that's going to reconnection with yourself and what you're feeling deeper down inside of you. Maybe any limiting beliefs might come up through that poetry. I did also, just notice this writer's group card. I actually didn't notice that one before. It says create or join a writer's group to gain inspiration, friendship, or support. So I do think some of you could be into the writing and the poetry vibes. For the other ones of you who are like, what? That could just mean joining any kind of group to do these kind of activities, like yoga classes, dance classes, painting classes, pottery classes, anything that kind of is an artistic, creative expression of self is going to be really great for this pile. The vision board card is also a very creative outlet for cutting out like pieces of magazines, and then you put all the things that you want to come into your life. A vision board is really just a manifestation board with an artistic flair. This one's actually saying, create a board with images and words that inspire you. That could be really good for refocusing all this energy, because unfortunately when we're feeling kind of in the lower places, we sometimes need to do things like this, like vision boards, or like establishing our goals, where we want to go. And because I do feel like the angels really love this creative energy for this group, a lot of you, you're going to be already very aware that you like stuff like this. This is just who you are your whole life. And I think there's a few of you in this pile who are like, I'm not creative, I'm not artistic. But it's saying you don't need to be an amazing artist to be creative. Every human is creative in their own way. And this is what it's trying to bring into you, because also when we get into that creative energy, it reestablishes a bit of passion and inspiration for life. And that energy is usually what we need to kind of get out of the dumps. And I'm hoping to use that analogy in a way that all you understand. Just meaning when we're feeling kind of at the lower end, kind of, I don't want to say depressed, but just, like it's been really hard to keep your head up and life is seeming a little colorless, it's really great to have that creative energy come into our life to help trigger and inspire us. So that is why, if you're like, I'm not a creative artistic person, they are saying all this, and they're also giving you suggestions that means you don't have to be great to do them. Like doing a dance class, most of the people in there are going to be also uncoordinated if they're just starting. Yoga, there's beginner and there is like harder level ones. It's also really good for just creating movement in your body and stretching, getting the energy moving within it. And yeah, the vision board takes almost no artistic skills. I mean, some people might make really beautiful ones, but it just needs to be a physical visualization for you to see what you want and getting you excited about it and establishing that this is what you're working towards. Yeah. And then I also am seeing this release card. So it says, work with Archangel Michael to let go of what no longer serves you or your purpose. I also think that's why they want these visual set goals. And I think maybe for this group, it might be easier to do it in like a cutting up like things you want versus writing down, I want this. These are the steps I'm going to take to get there. I think just for where you're at, the vision board might be easier. But if you are able to do an actual list of things that you want without feeling overwhelmed or like it's too far away, then do that, because that would be great. Because this is also where it's saying finding your purpose is going to be coming in. And it doesn't mean you have to know exactly what you're going to do with your life right now. It just means, what do you want your life to be about? What do you want to be bringing in? Do you want to be having more fun? If that is it, then now you've officially established with yourself what you want to start working towards, what you want to be bringing in. And I'll just read the bottom of this card. It says, when you feel like you don't fit into this world, remember that you're here to help create a better one. Your tender heart is a treasure. So just remembering that you do have purpose in this world. You are here to create change, and that could be just through inspiring people, through acts of kindness, through smiling at someone on the street when they aren't used to people even acknowledging their existence. All those things have effects that we can't even begin to comprehend on others. And before I get into more tangent about things they want you to do for self-care, I really should have emphasized the you are not alone card. So this is saying that although you felt very isolated and alone, no one's really been supporting you or really on your same level, seeing where you're at or being able to hold space. If you ever do feel like that, and you really don't have a support system that's healthy to fall back on, the angels are always here to help bring in guidance and support for you. You have to open space for them to do it, because they won't ever step in without your permission. But they are saying they're still here trying to help and guide you. So try to remember that. I know it's really hard when things aren't feeling great, but they are saying they're never not with you. We just have to ask. If you saw this freedom card, I actually keep seeing it as contemporary dance. When I see that, like freeing your body from any beliefs or judgment that you've put on it, on what it is, what it can do or can't do. And I'm hoping that makes sense to some people, because it's like I see it and it makes so much sense in my brain, but I'm not sure if I'm communicating it quite clearly. Reminding us that we often hold ourselves back based on what we think others are going to judge us about. But in the end, it looks worse when we're that one person in a group who doesn't try, because we're like, oh, I just can't. I'll just look really bad. And it's funny because anyone else who was really bad or looked really funny doing something, it was fine. But you saying no, people are like, oh, well, they don't even want to try. Like, it's funny how usually it's those people that when we refuse to do it because we think we'll look too silly, that people judge. And it's not the ones who just look bad doing it that we judge. We're like, oh, wow, that was so amazing. They're so brave for doing that, even though they didn't know what they were doing. And I don't know, maybe someone needed to hear that message, but it's just don't be so harsh on yourselves. Like, there's no expectation from others, the expectation is coming from yourself. And when I see this think about it card, I see it as needing a lot of healing around your thoughts. Kind of about this freedom card where it's talking about maybe too much judgment or having put too high of expectations on yourself or limiting yourself. But I do think it's coming from your subconscious thoughts. Yeah, I think it could be a different meaning for some of you. I think some of you might have been debating between some choices in your life, and it's also going to be there as a card to tell you to take the time to really feel out what's best for you and not just the thing you should be doing. But it is coming out as a very healing card, like being gentler with yourself around whatever choices you're trying to make, whatever things you're wanting to do, to see how maybe your thoughts are a little harsh with yourself and try to soften them a bit, have a little more gentleness, because you're really doing the best that you can, and no one doesn't think that you're not trying or doing the best that you can. So usually we don't realize how harsh we're being or how high of expectations we've put on ourselves. All right, so I kind of want to get a little bit of a rant about this hydration card. Water is so important, and when I say hydration, it is water. It's not like juice, coffee, anything like that, because caffeine dehydrates us. So if you do drink a lot of coffee, that means you have to drink even more water to kind of counteract the dehydration effects. And most people are actually dehydrated at all times. I'm sure some of you have heard that one before. And the reason why that's really bad, it's not good to be dehydrated, is because water helps remove waste within your body. It helps regulate your temperature. The water actually helps kind of lubricate your joints. So like people who have like sore knees and things like that, it's not going to be 100% because of dehydration, but it sure isn't going to be helped by not being hydrated. I can't quite remember it, but I know in science class back in the day, they said some 60 to 75% of human beings were made of water, and the thing that keeps us at only 75% is actually that our fat and our bones have lower amounts of water percentages in them. What do they say? 20 to 25% body fat should have about 75% water in their bodies. Obviously, we're all different shapes than that. But if we're going off that statistic, then that means we really should start drinking more water, because I think they're saying now the average person has about 50% water. So that means you're like 25% below the amount of water you should have in your body for it to work at its best levels. And I'm sure some people are lower than that. So it's not to scare anyone, but it's just to point out, just by drinking water, you're doing so much for your health, for your physical body health. It also helps with like appetite control. I know a lot of times I won't even feel hungry, but sometimes I'll be snacking and I'm like, why am I doing this? Oh, I haven't drinking any water today. And we are supposed to drink somewhere from 2 to 3 liters, depending on your weight. If you are like a taller person, you're supposed to be quite a bit more. I think it's like 4 or 5 liters a day. That's a lot to ask from someone. So I always just say 2 to 3 liters is like a really good, maybe more realistic goal. So I know a lot of people have started carrying around liter water bottles and just try to drink one before noon and then another one in the evening. And that's like the easiest way to keep yourself accountable. So on the energy side of things, you guys might have heard me say this before in another pick a card reading, but it is so important to really emphasize that our meridian bodies or energy body, what controls that doesn't have its own heartbeat like our heart does. And so drinking water and movement is what keeps that flow going. So when that isn't going, It says it pulses every 5 seconds is what it is, would be a healthy pulse for that energy system. And it's just really hard to do without movement or water. So that's also why I, on top of all those other reasons, find it very important to remember to stay hydrated, because then it just prevents those energy blocks starting in your energy systems. And then you don't need to see healing practitioners as much, and you probably don't need to see as many doctors, because you're just getting a lot of health flow in your body, both energetically and physically. Also, all our organs are about 80% water. So you can see how everything that's very, very important within us is really, really needing regular amounts of water to stay healthy and flushed properly. It's just a really good thing. It also would help, like on an energy perspective, when you have stagnant parts in your, I don't know, like stagnant energy in your chakras or in your organs on an energetic level, it would start to create some like lower feelings and vibes, because it's just, it's not moving quite as healthy and as good and nourishing as it could be. So I am not surprised to see this coming up if you've been feeling a little bit low. The angels they're always all about eating clean and drinking water. A lot of times they also say they really don't like people drinking caffeine and alcohol, but obviously nobody's going to be perfect. So if you could drink water and eat as clean as possible, they're happy that you're just even doing that. But water being, I think, the biggest one that I see from them. And then I'm just going to kind of skipped rows here. I'm going to go for the middle one now. I was kind of saying that about making sure that you ask for help with situations from the angels, because they need your permission. They can't boycott your free will. They can just sit there and kind of wait until you say, oh, can you help me? And they're like, yes, we have this action plan for you. Let's get it going. We'll bring it in. We'll help you bring better people in, help you find your inspiration, help give you ideas intuitively that will bring you to this happier place. And then I see the blessings card. So what I find very interesting is, one, I actually pulled this card in last week's reading. So I wonder if some of you are from that pile, or it could just be that people are needing this reminder. When I see this card, I find it very interesting, because my first impressions is that it is a very positive card, but the energy that comes off of it is usually meaning that people are coming from a low place. They're having a hard time kind of seeing the blessings. And sometimes it can even be that the blessings are trying to come in, but the person is in a very low place that they're not quite seeing them as they kind of pass them by. So it is telling me that maybe you need to try to start looking for them. Say you go to one of those yoga classes and someone's like, oh, do you want to go for coffee after? Or, oh, maybe I should exchange numbers and we can meet up sometime and go to this other class or something like that. They're saying, try to see the opportunities, or maybe it's even that you need to create some of those opportunities, because likely the people who are going to these same things are also searching for better support systems, better friendships, a change in their life, because most people don't go and do all these things if they're not looking for some kind of change, whether it's physical or emotional or friendships. There's something that they're wanting to change as well. And I do think that whatever could come from these kinds of interactions will help with you kind of finding new things that inspire you, finding maybe just even having fun. That is also a big part of being inspired, is just having fun times. And I am seeing that for a few. I do actually think, looking at this card, that some of you are looking for more supportive relationships, ones that are, you can actually express yourself and the other people are able to hold space for you and come with a very gentle energy to help support you. And I think you will find them through doing these different types of activities that express yourself. So the dance, yoga, poetry groups, writers groups, pottery classes. Some of you might even be singing classes, whatever it is, they're saying like some good relationships can come from that. Yeah, and then I think we're getting towards the end of this reading. When I see this release card, I did kind of talk about it real quick. Archangel Michael likes working with us with releasing fear or things that are burdening us. So he does do this very interesting thing where you can ask him to basically vacuum out the gunk from your body. Some people see it as him holding a vacuum that sucks out all like the dark, gross, kind of stagnant energy out of your body from your head, and then he flips the switch on this vacuum and he returns this very healthic, very very clean, divine, positive energy back into your aura, your body. Hope that kind of makes sense. I call it like Archangel Michael's vacuum or something like that. You might even be able to look it up because I know Doreen Virtue talked about it a lot before she's turned Christian again. And that is actually a method that I really like using if I just feel like I can't shake off a gross vibe. And I'm like, I don't even really know why I'm feeling like this. It's just, I would say, like stagnant energy within me. I'll use that method where I ask him to basically vacuum out my gross energy and replace it with this really, really pure, good energy. That could be a good one for you guys. You can also ask Archangel Metatron to clear your aura and chakras. He is kind of the angel who works with that. If you see a lot of rainbows or like triangles and squares and circles all the time, like a weird amount, that's also his symbols for reminding you that he's there to work with you. And he does just, clear your chakra bodies and your auras. And all you have to do is ask that. Okay, I think that's all the messages I have. I might just read this card before I let you go here. So it says, prayer will help this situation. And then the example prayer they give you is my prayer, Dear God and Archangel Michael, and anyone else to whom you pray, such as Jesus, I ask for your divine intervention. And then describe the situation that's giving you grief, giving you a hard time right now. And then say, I welcome your help and I trust and follow your guidance with gratitude and grace. I need a miracle and ask that you I ask that you send one to me and this situation quickly. Thank you and amen. So if you don't resonate, that is why they said you can ask Dear God and Archangel Michael or just anyone that is a part of your belief system. Don't pray to someone you don't believe in. Because it's like you're not really going to want help from someone if you don't like that kind of energy. So Archangel Michael is really great. He's a very protecting angel. You could use just any guide that you have and trust and ask them for help and to bring, it says, I need a miracle and ask that you send me one to the situation quickly. And it's just amazing when you say that so directly, how quickly solutions can come your way. But when I see it next to the blessing card, I really just have to remind you that it's still up to you to accept it. So if you see an opportunity, you have to say yes or no, or go for it or not go for it. Okay, because it is always just going to be suggestions and solutions they want to give you, but you do have to do the part of accepting. Okay. That's all I got for you guys. I hope that helped. It seems like a very interesting group. You all seem very gifted, even though I think some of you aren't so sure about that. I do see that it is a very, very interesting group of people here who are very gifted, very creative and artistic, not always just in the traditional way that our societies teach us artistic has to be. All right, well, I'll see you guys in a week, and I hope you start feeling better. Yeah, I hope some of these suggestions help, and you start to find your way a bit out of this rut. But from what I see, it shouldn't last forever. There's a lot of suggestions, so they're really, really hoping you get out of it soon. Hello, pile 3. All right, let's get into it. All right, pile 3. It's really neat how these cards came out. So there's, if you could see, ask then listen, and these cards are two cards talking about your finances. These two are talking about life purpose, and these two are both talking about sleep. So many little messages all in pairs for you. That's really cool. All right, so let's dive a little bit deeper here. So just because I feel like sleep is so important, I actually kind of want to start right here. It is telling me that you guys have been having a hard time falling asleep or actually getting like that deep rest sleep. So maybe even you've been able to go to sleep and say you're having like 8 or 9 hours every now and then, but you're not actually getting into that deep REM sleep where you're getting the restfulness from it. Let's just see what we can do to help you out with that. It could also be that you guys are stressed. Do you feel a little bit of stress here? I'm sorry about that. That's tricky. I think a lot of it's coming from finances and just some form of uncertainty with a situation going on in your lives. I'm not getting a specific for that. General card readings tend to be like that. There's just too many different energies, but there's situations right now that these people who have chosen this path are going through that's caused a little extra stress on top of this financial worry. It says that they want you to ask the angels to help you relax and fall asleep. And to ask that you want to sleep deeply. That might seem like too easy a solution, but if they're giving this as a suggestion, it usually means that they feel like they can help with this. So this card literally says, Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for helping me relax and sleep deeply, for I know that you are guiding, healing, and protecting me while I rest. And then Archangel Michael is saying, if you're open to it, to ask or give him permission to give you guidance while you're sleeping. So in your dreams, he's going to be kind of working with your soul and giving you some guidance, encouragement, and reassurance to these other situations that are keeping you up at night. So I'm kind of getting the impression that getting to fall asleep the first couple of times might be the greatest battle here, but once you start falling asleep, it's going to be easier and easier because Michael and Raphael are wanting to work with you to help ease these burdens with your on a soul level while you're sleeping. So that's actually really cool. It's kind of like when you're sleeping, the theory is that our consciousness go to the angelic planes or go to the realms wherever our soul likes to be. It could be the shamanic realms, it could be the angelic realms, it could be even like if you're a starred seed, like maybe you're hanging out with your soul family where our souls kind of just do whatever they want when we sleep, when we deep sleep. And these two angels are wanting to basically be your guides and teachers and work with your soul very directly while you're sleeping. And slowly over time, that's going to really, really help with just having these instincts, these knowings behind why you aren't feeling as stressed about like a financial situation or something else, whatever this other situation is on top of that. So that's really good. And I also am getting that sometimes you might have a hard time hearing the guidance the angels are trying to give you through your intuition during the daytime. And I think that's really why they're wanting to get your permission to work with you during your sleep time, because it's very easy for them to work with your soul, just your pure soul like that. But while we're awake in our human egos and our belief systems and our our fears are kind of also there. It's pretty hard for us to always hear them clearly and not just doubt what we're getting. And I'm trying to see if there's any other suggestions. I am thinking that maybe some of you might have odd sleeping times. Like maybe you try to sleep when it's still light out. Maybe you have shift work of some type. This isn't for everyone. This seems like a very specific message, but maybe consider also getting blackout blinds. I know are a little expensive. So maybe if you could just even get one of those sleeping masks and like investing in one that's going to be good, that doesn't feel too tight around you. I feel like light could also be an issue for this pile, for about them sleeping. Something about your body is having a hard time calming down and staying asleep and thinking it's safe to sleep. And light could be affecting that. There's also some kind of belief going on in the subconscious that you don't really have time to sleep. You don't really... It's really strange how I'm going to say this. I feel like for someone who's chosen this pile, there's this belief that you don't deserve to rest. You have so much to do. This could be where the financial burdens are keeping you up because you're like, I could be working right now. I don't need this much sleep. And somewhere in the subconscious mind about being deserving of this self-care, of this essential need is getting blocked by this belief or this worry. And all I have to say about that is that no one works and does the best for anyone when they're exhausted. And I really get from this pile that they could be absolutely exhausted. And you do deserve to get sleep and rest so that you can function at your best. Your mind will be clearer. The stress won't be as tolling on your body because at the very least you will have had the rest that you deserve and that your body really needs. So try to ask Archangel Raphael. I think that's why they're bringing a healing angel. He is the angel of good health and healing, to help you fall asleep, and asking him to help you with that and getting good, deep, restful sleep. Because I do think there is some belief, worry around not having earned it or being deserving of it. That might not be for everyone, but for someone that is really important to know. And that is why Archangel Raphael has been chosen to help you with that. And then do remember to give Archangel Michael permission before you go to sleep to work with you on a soul level in your dream time. That is very key for this pile. I feel like that is one of the most important messages because it's telling me it's just going to lessen the stress and the worry and the hardship in all these other areas. Okay, so that's all I have to say about the sleep and dream time for now. I want to move on to... I think I'm going to talk about the money because that feels like the next really stressful factor here. It says, so shower abundance, and there's nothing to worry about. So those are very great cards. I am seeing that bit of a block in finances with this pile about trusting the universe to provide for you and bring in what you need financially. And how that could look is there could be some limiting beliefs around you always have to work very hard for the money that you have. Things don't just come to you. I want to say the words like you're not special. You got to work for it to get anywhere, to be anyone. Anything around that is actually a very harmful, limiting belief that our society created on us, because when we believe things like that to be true, we don't allow the universe to bring in those awesome, like out of nowhere opportunities to help us. And it's putting a lot of pressure on us just as humans to just get it all done. And a lot of people who are financially successful had these amazing opportunities that it presented them because they weren't just working hard for it. They were also allowing the universe to bring them in some of these I just want to keep saying opportunities. I feel like that word's very important for this pile, is that they want to be able to bring in opportunities, the angels, the universe, your guides, but they're kind of getting blocked by these limiting beliefs. I don't think it's anything that you're consciously doing. I just keep getting that it's just these belief systems that maybe your parents said to you, people around you have said to you. I mean, the film industry communicates to us, wanting you to have that awareness so that maybe you can kind of shift it when you're saying things or telling yourself things to motivate yourself, to just realize, okay, I am doing all that I can, but I'm also willing to accept the help of the universe to bring in and take care of my needs, both financial and material, whatever it is. So I'm just going to read this card. It says, to heal your financial situation, first give us your worries concerning money. We will guide you in order to show you how to create and accept abundance. As we work together, your financial situation will heal as fast as you'll allow. And it's very interesting if you get caught up in the wait, as fast as you will allow part, because it's really saying it is the limiting beliefs that stops us from receiving it. I'm sorry if you have heard me say this before, but it is just because it's the easiest ways to start accepting, is like accepting compliments, accepting when someone wants to give you a coffee, accepting when someone wants to give you help. And these are all like in your daily human life when these things are being offered to you. If you find you're often saying no to any of those three things, it's how are you ever going to accept winning, say, the lottery, if you don't even believe in accepting a free coffee from someone? So it's really like how the angels put it, is that we as humans put conditions on the abundance that's possible for us. And we do it on such a deep level that we don't even realize that we've done it. And I'm also guilty of this, where I'm always like saying affirmations around being open to receiving things. And then I catch myself all the times in the moments saying no. Like someone gives me a compliment and I'm like, no, that's not true. Or, but this. And I'm trying very hard myself to work on not doing that. But the problem is I have the awareness once I've said it, but I need to work on having the awareness before I even say it. They're like, what? I don't have a problem accepting compliments. Well, that's awesome. That means you don't even have as far to work as some of us do. But it's in the receiving of the bigger things. The easiest place to start is with the small things. And then if someone's like, here, I just want to give you $100. And you're like, no, I'm not taking $100 from you. It's the angels saying, well, then how are you going to accept more than $100? How are you going to accept thousands of dollars? How are you going to accept hundred thousands of dollars? You've got to start somewhere. It's like you're being, what's the right word? Tested in some ways to see how much you think you're deserving of receiving and how much you're going to be willing to accept. That's kind of a rant. I hope in the end it kind of makes sense to everyone, but it's really just saying the universe doesn't think a certain amount is fair for you to receive. They think you should have however much you want. So if you say no at a certain number, then that's where they're like, okay, they don't want more than this. So that's why we got to be so careful on what we're putting out there. So then there's nothing to worry about. You're safe, and this situation is under perfect control of divine providence and universal order. Only infuse loving thoughts and emotions into the situation to ensure that the highest possible outcome flows effortlessly to and through you. So that's very important. If you find yourself often saying like, oh, I'm broke, I don't have any money, oh, I'm really just under the crunch right now, I can't afford that. Always saying that is like confirming that you are there and you're always going to be there. And I know that one's really tricky because a lot of times we're like, well, I'm just being honest about where I am, but you're also cementing on the universal level that that's where you are. Affirmations around this is really good. Every day I save more and more money. Every day I receive more and more money. Every day I become more and more financially abundant. I actually think I like that one the most. saying stuff like that is good because it shifts our mindset on, oh, I'm just so broke, I can't afford anything, nothing's ever going to be good, to saying things that are positive and creating more positive things with money. Work on your relationship with money itself. If it feels gross, then that means you have some healing to do with your idea of money. Like, money should feel light and warm, really loving family member, because the only negative stuff that's come from money comes from limiting beliefs from our parents, society, friends, and ourselves. Could be worth it to take a deeper look at how you feel about money, and maybe if there's something there that could be limiting you. If you don't know where to start with that, just try starting with the Ho'oponopono method with money, where you just say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And it might seem strange to say that to about money, but it shifts the energy, like you're apologizing maybe for how you've mistreated it or not appreciated it or said mean things to it. Thank you for being part of my life. Like, you can go in deeper for each thing, but if you don't know what to say, you just say those 4 things again and again. And it's actually very amazing how much positive change can come from just saying those words again and again. A lot of people use this towards relationships where there's lots of dysfunction or chaos. They use these, they say this again and again towards that person mentally or out loud. They don't actually usually ever say it face to face to the person, and they actually find there's lots of change. So Ho'oponopono, I'd really recommend. You can even watch a YouTube video. It will give you a better explanation, but I don't want to overwhelm you with it. But I do think that would be really great for this pile for saying to money. And I even think maybe you could say it before you go to bed, after you've asked Archangel Raphael and Michael to work with you in your sleep, to help you have a deep, restful sleep. Start maybe going to sleep by saying the Ho'oponopono towards money and any other relationships, even yourself, I think, because there's a lot of stress and expectations you've placed on yourself. Yeah. Okay. Switching gears. That's enough about money. We'll move on to this ask and listen card. I'm going to read them first. Here says, ask us to help you in this situation, and we will immediately go to work on your behalf. We're governing by many universal laws, and among them is the free will that allows you to make your own choices and decisions. So we patiently await your request. It's interesting because this obviously applies with this wanting to help you sleep better, give you more guidance with your finances and helping you with that. And this is also just talking about this other situation that you guys are in that is creating a lot of stress and a bit chaos in your life. So they're just reminding you that they need your permission. They'd love for you to give them their permission so that they can help you. Yeah. Okay. And then the listen card, which is just still seems so crazy to me that somehow you guys got ask and listen beside each other. I've never seen that before. It's really cool. Okay. Listen. Quiet your mind, beloved one, and listen to our gentle reassurance that everything has been taken care of. Stay in a quiet, receptive state without worrying about the exact nature of your desires' manifestation. Quiet mind and body hears us quickly and clearly. This is our request to you. Listen. So that's really great. What I'm getting from this card is there could be a little bit of a block in the crown chakra. I don't want you to feel worried or scared or anything about that. It's honestly very normal to see in a lot of people. It's kind of meaning it might have been hard for you to trust the guidance they're coming in. What I would normally recommend for someone who's feeling like that would be meditation. And if you guys are intimidated by the word meditation, I would suggest just starting, especially since I get this pile gets really overwhelmed with tasks that they have to complete, do a YouTube 10-minute guided meditation. And after, just see if there's anything that your body's trying to tell you. And that would literally look like at the end of meditation, you say, is there anything my body wants me to know? Or you can even do a 10-minute guided meditation that asks those questions as prompts. Because through establishing this kind of respect with your body that you're going to listen, this intuition, you're saying, look, I'm trying to recreate a connection here. I want to hear what you have to say. It's through our intuition and our crown chakra that the angels bring in this guidance. So if you haven't previously been in a place where you feel like you can quiet your mind and just feel what feels right to you, or check in with your intuition on what it wants you to do, it's really important to start establishing that through some form of quick meditation. I feel like obviously if you can do longer, that's great, but I'm going to be realistic here. Just try doing a 10-minute meditation from time to time. If you guys are runners, I find a lot of times if you're a long distance runner, you get in a meditative state. That is also like, if I feel like you know what I'm talking about, you just start running and something clicks, thoughts really start to reconnect. That would also be in a way a form of meditation. Anything that causes you to get into that like less chaotic brain state. And that's usually when you can think clearly. And when I say think clearly, you aren't really thinking. You're just allowing an emotion to come up and you feel it and you're like, what's going on there? What's it trying to tell me? That's the state you're trying to get into. And the more you establish a connection with that, the easier it is to start hearing your intuition all of the time. Maybe you've been thinking about getting into running. I actually feel like running felt really random to me, but I feel like this group might be toying with the idea of getting into jogging of some sort. So if that's the case, that could be the solution for you, because you might want physical exercise and you might not think there's time for meditation. So that could be a good compromise. And then I kind of want to go and jump over here to this helping children in books. As soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, I think some of you might be teachers. Like, I would say high school or younger teachers. Not everyone, but I've never gotten such a clear teacher vibe from a book before. And other ones of you, you could be working with, I'm trying to find the right words. What is it? Like helping, assisting people who, they're not exactly caretakers, but maybe you help someone who has a mental illness out. Maybe you take them out for fun activities or something like that. Or randomly, it gets some nurse vibes too. And I'm not really sure where they're coming from, but when I kept thinking shift work, I actually kept getting janitors, cleaners, and nurses. So I'm like, oh, general readings, they just kind of are all over the place. But where this goes is this, whatever job you do, I feel like janitor, cleaner vibe, I feel like you might clean like daycares or schools, or maybe you even work at like a children's hospital or places where kids are. And I think you're just someone who is very good with kids. And then I think other ones of you are just really good at whatever it is you do. And when I see books, for some of you, it's just telling me you're a teacher. And for other ones, it's saying you guys are really good at what you do. You could be toying with someday writing like a memoir or instructional book. Someone's been toying with writing a children's book, or maybe even being the person who draws the images for a children's book. But like I said, I feel like for the people who are writing books, this is very specific people. Yeah, it's definitely not for everyone here. It really stood out for being for someone. It's interesting because I did also get this in last week's card pull. So if you watched both and you've been thinking about it, I think this is just the angels will tell you things like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times if they really want you to do something. So this is very specific, but if you've been thinking about it, this is another confirmation from the angels saying you should do it. It says your life purpose involves writing this book. So yes, do it. For the rest of you, just ignore that message. It's really just for like 1 or 2 people who they're really trying to reach out to. But yeah, otherwise with the teacher card or whatever this job is in around working with young people honestly could even be working with healing adults who were traumatized as younger people, or I feel like adults who have mental health illnesses that can seem like children sometimes. They're saying like, I think sometimes when you're going to work, you're wondering if you're even making a difference, like what's going on. And I keep getting this thing is that even though you don't think you're making a difference, you are making such a great difference to them, and they're not always able to tell you and appreciate you as much as they should. And it's kind of an interesting card to be here because I feel like it's really just saying the angels want you to know that you are so important and you've made such great changes for these people in their lives, that you're just very nurturing. And I feel like from what I've gotten from this reading is that you're not getting paid quite as much as you should. Like you go above and beyond. And I think that partly could be why some of you are very tired and stressed and burnt out, is that you're almost like an overgiver in this area. Which kind of leads me to this last card here, where it's talking about harmony. This is harmony in your life. There is a need for more balance, more just doing fun things for yourself. It's so interesting. Dance and music has come up so many times in these cards, and I'm like, is everyone a dancer? Does everyone love music? They must, because it keeps coming up. I think it's just because it's truly the symbol of having more fun. Like, we don't really dance for any other reason than to just enjoy it and express ourselves and move our bodies in a fun way. And that kind of energy is what they're wanting more of in your life. Most of us have like some kind of music we really like listening to. I think I just see that it could be important that you listen to it, and just maybe when you have a house to yourself, or just go in your room and just dance your heart out. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be something to get your mind off of all this other stress, this other stuff, and just being comfortable with you. But it is interesting that I am seeing that it is outdoors. So maybe it could even be that you guys really like going on walks outside, but you haven't done it in a while, or you like spending time outdoors and you just haven't done it in a while because it's been so busy. So there's two cards here talking about making sure that you retreat outside, you go outside. It's where you feel the most alive. A peaceful forest, the mountains, your local park. If there's an ocean, be revived by nature's wonder. And seeing that it's coming up in two cards, I think you guys do enjoy it. Makes you feel more calm. It helps you collect your thoughts. And maybe it could even be a sense of awe that you get from being out there. It's really good for you. It's really great. I even feel like it's better air quality. Like something about that, it seems really important. Like you just like breathing in the smell of like, I don't know, like fresh air, like a slightly chilled air with the smells of leaves and grass on it. I don't know, that seems very specific, but something about that is really good for these people. I hope you felt like there was some solutions and some suggestions in there, and not just information being thrown at you. I feel like sometimes it's nice if people can kind of validate what you're going through, but I always feel like it's important to give people solutions so they don't keep feeling stuck where they are. And I hope you got some of that. Yeah. Overall feel, I think you guys are very hard on yourselves, and the angels are wanting you to be able to learn how to see yourself through their eyes, and that they really see how great you are, how much light you bring into the world, how much good you do. And don't worry so much about that. You are so deserving of everything great. Everything that you want to experience, they want to bring to you. And I didn't really see this until right now. I was saying there's lots of runner angels that want to work with you. And what runner angels do is say you're running late and you're worried about, I don't know if I should be condoning this, but say you're running late and you're driving somewhere and you're worried about getting stopped for like some kind of traffic ticket or something, is I always ask them to run ahead and make sure that there's no cops, there's no accidents, there's no wildlife on the roads, that I can just get my destination safely and as quickly as possible. And usually when I do that, I always see like a deer just on the side of the road, but not on the road. Or I see a police car just turning the other way, like going off the main road or something like that. And I'm always like, whew, Runner Rangers, thank you. And that's a very random message, but I do see them here. So they want to help you with something. Don't forget to ask for help. I am seeing that they want you to get as much help from them as you will allow them to give you. All right, that's all I got. I'll see you next week or some other time. See you guys. Hello, Pile 4. We're gonna get right into it for you guys. Okay, Pile 4. There is someone's energy that's coming through very strongly for this reading. But I'm going to try my very best to keep it as inclusive to everyone as possible, but I might catch myself getting to very specific details. And when that happens, it usually means it's just for a specific person, not the overall general. So I'm going to try to do my best not to get too sucked into the one energy and acknowledge everyone, because it is a general reading. It is for everyone. Okay, so right away, the majority in this pile are people who are pursuing some sort of spiritual work, whether that would be through acupuncture. There's this course called the 5-Path Element Healing that I know of in the area that I'm from. It's like a 2-year course. It could be that. It could be Reiki, card reading, craniosacral. I'm sure there's a ton of other things I've never heard of. It could just be trying to do shamanic practices, angel practices. Yeah, I'm sorry. Those are all the ones I can think of off the top of my head, but it is some kind of like spiritual based thing. It could even be that you're trying to become a yoga teacher, actually, who is really diving into the teachings of meditation within that yoga community. It's very spiritual based. And what I'm getting from here is that this is definitely an overall reading, but the first line here is really talking about the career you're trying to explore. I do get that it is in your highest, I want to say highest interest. It is like what your soul does want you to do. It does feel good, but I think you've come across some blocks in pursuing it. And I'm seeing that that is just kind of part of the learning lesson your soul wanted you to learn through this process. For teachers, I feel like some of you have had a hard time finding a good teacher or one that resonates or listens to you. Something isn't quite connecting there. Right here it says a new path. I think it's suggesting that you consider maybe looking around and seeing if there's a teacher out there that resonates with you more or can cater to what you're interested more. It could even be that the teacher you're in isn't really focusing on the direction you want to go in, and not to be afraid to switch teachers, to switch maybe even like programs that you're in or courses that you're in, so that you're getting the learning that you want to get. And then for a few of you, it could even be that you've been doing something different and you've been wanting to get into this more spiritual, and they're saying, go for it. It's time to start heading in this direction. So that's really cool message to be getting. And it is also very validating for anyone who's getting this card reading that you are supposed to be doing this type of work. It feels very good for you. And I even see like the 22, it's like angelically guided. It's like the ascended masters kind of number 1122. It's really divinely guided. It's coming from a higher place. It's really, really cool. So travel, change, and location, I really feel like that cements with the teacher. It could be even an online course. It could be you actually have to travel somewhere to get this teaching, but don't be afraid. If it feels right, if you're following your intuition and checking in with yourself again and again, it won't lead you the wrong way. Don't be afraid to trust intuition. I do see that sometimes you can get a little bit caught up in your thoughts and your worries. I do think this pile has a bit of anxiety towards things. I think depending on what it is, sometimes that anxiety can be overwhelming. But if you're following your intuition, that's the message you keep getting, it will not lead you astray. Your intuition isn't cluttered by those anxieties, those worries. It's coming from the higher self. And then conscious steps, consider action looking forward. So yeah, I just keep seeing that you've been on this path for a little bit now, and it's really important to keep checking in with yourself and making sure that you are headed in the direction you want to go, and not to be scared about where it might lead you, that you are moving forward. Some of you might have felt stuck. They're saying it's all in divine timing. Don't worry, everything's happening for a reason. Those are the things we don't like hearing as the human, but I am getting that it is good. Like the transition that you're going through, you have been moving forward, even though it might feel like you've been stuck. And you're all heading in the direction that they want you to be heading in, that your soul wanted to go through and experience, because whatever lessons you've come from are going to be important in how you learn to practice or treat others in your practice. And I actually think it's going to be about making sure that your clients are heard, or you hear them, you have a good listening and speaking exchange, because I do think that's quite important for you and what you want to do. Could even be that you're in some form of life coaching or therapy with spiritual consideration into it. And I just think all of it's going to be very healing for people. On the teacher note, it's important to find someone who has a healthy masculine and feminine energy to them. And that seems kind of like a strange thing to mention, but I couldn't stop looking at the man and woman. And I keep getting that it's the healthy masculine and feminine energy. Someone who has the awareness of what that looks like and how to channel each energy into the practice, so that you can really give your clients whatever kind of energy they need, because the masculine and feminine is within all of us, whether you're male or female. And having the healthy way of expressing that is very healing for those who didn't have it in their childhoods or in their lives in general. And then, funny enough, I've been talking about following your intuition. Here's a card talking about that. Your external spirit, higher self, sacred intuition. So if this anxiety is overthinking, worries for others, worry for yourself, whatever these worries are, I think they're a little bit everywhere. Remember to just take 4 deep breaths, calm that heart rate down, and ask yourself, what is it trying to tell you? Really think about your higher self and connecting with it, and say, like, what guidance do you have for me? Meditation. That is a really big message for this group. I know it's always easier said than done to always find time for that. But when all this gets busy and any worries are coming up around this, they're really saying the solution is to take the time to settle your mind, calm your body, and reconnect with that intuition, that higher self, because it has great advice for you. I do think people from this pile have an older soul. You've been on this earth a few times. More than that, like a few hundreds of lifetimes. And your higher self has the answer and has the peace of mind that you're craving and the calmness that you're needing to feel. So don't forget to reconnect with it. It's funny, I'm kind of cruising through these pretty quick, but I'm It's almost like it's telling me that you already know all this, so it's okay. It's just a quick reminder to get you recentered and refocused. You already know to do this. You're very, very smart. You're just needing a little nudge. And I really like this nature spirits, the four elements. I actually get that they really are the guides that like working with you. So most of these messages actually have come from your higher self, your higher consciousness, from the people who've chosen this pile. And I really like fairies have popped up. Outdoors has popped up a lot in this. And sorry, I'm also getting a little distracted over here. It's telling me that your soul is a starseed soul, and for some reason, starseeds seem to work with fairies a lot. I don't know why. I haven't actually really figured that out for myself, but whatever reason, the two energies love being together. It could be because they're so playful, they're so full of self-love and having fun and enjoying the human experience. And starseeds could sometimes forget that because, you know what, actually is another thing I'm just realizing is a lot of times when I see starseed energy, I see a lot of anxiety. And I think it's because even though most of us have reincarnated a few times on this earth in the human body, we still don't quite get humans fully. We don't really understand why they do the things they do and why it's so different here from wherever we're from. So that is actually a very interesting thing to notice, that anxiety is a common thing amongst starseeds. But yeah, so just a little reminder that the fairies are there. They love working with you. Mention that they're your guides. They're the ones that surround you a lot. And if you're really having a hard time with, I feel like anything, to kind of call on those cute, lovable, but still very powerful little fairy and element creatures. And I actually should say, if you're working with elements, always be careful because there's elementals who sometimes are a little bit unpredictable and chaotic. I don't always understand the difference between right and wrong. So if you've noticed a little chaos, you might want to just work with the fairies and not work with the elementals right now, unless there's just one specifically that you work with that, you've kind of established a good relationship with. But I always like to tell people to be mindful of that because I've had a few very destructive elementals myself through hiking and things. I haven't always quite been great at remembering to shield myself when I'm in the mountains, and I've taken a few home and quickly regretted that, and I didn't mean to. They just kind of saw me, stuck to me, and that's why we all should energy shield. So this could even be a good reminder to all of you to, even when you're in the nature, in the mountains, you have to energy shield because unfortunately, although elementals are really cute looking and all, they are kind of like these little chaotic little things who are like toddlers who are on the super caffeinated diet and can create a lot of havoc in our homes. So that could also be why that card's there. Sorry, that feels very ranty, but yeah, just really got me thinking about that. So if I have seen a few times where you guys like being in nature, do still shield yourselves. I myself am really bad for remembering that, and I often learn the hard way that I forgot. So do that. Okay, nurture yourself in success. I found that very interesting because when I read the success and I immediately saw this card too, I was like, wait, does this all two success cards? But I actually think it's saying that you guys have been working towards forgiving yourself about something and thinking you're worthy. You've been working on it for a while, and from what I get is that you've gotten so much better and they really want to acknowledge you for that. Like, I don't know what maybe you were having a hard time forgiving yourself with. I think general card reading could be really tricky. I think it's something to do with self-worth and deservingness, but I really can't tell. But from working through that, you're now able to accept more support from other people and from even your guides in the universe, and they are actually just so happy about that. I get such a celebration vibe from this because they're like, yay, we're going to be able to do so much more with you now because you're realizing how worthy you are of receiving and helping others and being helped and getting everything you deserve and love and light, and you're amazing and you're starting to realize that, and we know that. And it's so funny. That's why I feel like the guide thing, it feels very like, because they just get so excited like that and hyper. So that's really awesome. Like that was not easy. So I want to like really congratulate you guys on that. That's amazing. That probably wasn't an easy cycle to go through, but you did so good and they're really happy about it. Yay. Anyways, so nurture yourself is a reminder to invest time in self-care now. Will yield more energy for you later. So I don't get that this is something you've boycotted completely, but I think there's some problems with someone in your family life. And I think it's starting to take a bit away from your self-care for yourself. And before you are drained or tired and stressed, you're not feeling quite like yourself, they're saying, hey, just don't forget to nurture yourself. Do you deserve it? We know you're going through a hard time, and that's why it's even more important to take care of yourself first. You think about on a plane, they say put your oxygen mask on first before you can help someone else, because you're no good to anyone if you're dead. The analogy they're giving me here, where I know that there's this stuff happening in your family life, is where that specific message is coming through, and I have to be careful. But I do think, because I see the healing sword here, and I'm feeling like it's grandmother energy, but I think in a lot of cases it's actually your parent. They're just quite a bit older, like a grandparent's age, or it could even be that it is a grandparent for some of you, is not doing well. And it could be just, I think it's just natural process of aging, and you're having to step in and really be a caretaker or help out a lot more than you used to with them. And that's why it's so important that you take care of yourself, because if you're burnt out, if you're tired, if you're not your best self, you can't really help them. Like, you are able to, but you're not going to be doing it in a very good energy. You're going to be very exhausted when you're doing it. You might not even be very cheerful as you're doing it. And sometimes when people aren't feeling great, all they need is that true, genuine smile from you. So it's important that you're good so that you can help them to the best ability you want to be able to. And the fact I keep seeing like the outdoor theme here makes me wonder if this person really enjoys going on walks, or you enjoyed going on walks with them previously, something around that. I do think it's like parks and things. I don't think this was like mountain hiking, but there's always the exception. But I think if you feel called to do it, some of them might be in wheelchairs, maybe pushing them through a park or something. If you're able to, that could be very healing. Especially since you work so good with the fairy spirits, I think they'd be there to extra support you. They are always there, but I think you just be in their main domain, that it would help support you. It would help bring more joy and ease maybe to this loved one. But obviously it's not going to be possible for everyone. That being said, it can always be like a hardship with a partner or a child. But like I said, there is like someone's specific energy that's coming through a bit stronger. And they're really saying parent, old parents. So I'm trying to be inclusive, but when I see this card, I'm sucked into that parent issue. And Alzheimer's is what I want to say. I feel like Alzheimer's is happening for that specific person. So I'll just say it because this person's soul is like screaming at me to say it. And I do know that's very common, unfortunately. A lot of people with aging get some kind of dementia or Alzheimer's. And that is really hard on us. So it really makes sense that they would want you to be taking care of yourself. Pausing is literally what I say. You have to like say, time out. I gotta go. I think you guys like journaling, reading books. I don't know. I would say like sitting by a fire might just help you calm down. That could even be with the element things coming in, is maybe you just feel calmer around like water, like the ocean, or campfires. Something like that is important to someone here. Yeah, so just, I'm sorry you're going through all this, but please, please take care of yourself. We don't want two people burning out here. And I do want to just read this. So it says, home help. Dear God and Archangel Raphael, thank you for giving me the courage to ask for and accept help from you, the angels, and others in matters regarding my family and home. So just saying that Archangel Raphael can send Reiki energy or healing energy or just peacefulness to our loved ones. And if there is a hardship at home, don't forget you can ask the angels to surround that person and send them their healing energy. You do have that ability. I mean, it's up to them, their higher self, to accept that energy or not. If they don't want to, they have the free will not to, but you also have the free will to send it to them for them to choose to receive or not. So that could be really good, especially with the dementia, Alzheimer's people. It's always really good to send that kind of energy for them, to even help them with like maybe having more clarity within their own mind. I like sending that energy out to people like that, just to offer them any support that I know how to and am limited to when people are going through that phase of their life. God is in charge. So, suggestion for your prayer is, Dear God, please help me let go of this situation, giving it in faith and trust to your divine wisdom and infinite love in order to resolve and heal everything and everyone involved. This is interesting because I think it could be relating to this family member, but I also think it's relating to maybe having a hardship with a teacher or finding a teacher. And this is just another reminder to ask the angels to help you in this. You don't have to go through it all alone. Some of you also might really like working with Mother Mary. She kind of is like a female energy powerhouse when you think about it. She's one of the only respected females in the Bible. So she got the respect of that grouping of people. She's clearly a very strong woman. She would also be really good at helping resolve any conflict that is happening with your children. That could be an issue right now, or I even want to say pets for some people. Yeah, it is very, I'm getting just honestly like every situation you can picture is coming up in this card. So just if you're having a hard situation, multiple situations, feel free to ask Archangel Michael and Mother Mary to help you with that. They are there for that. And if you guys have ever heard me talk about cord cutting, please consider doing that with your loved ones, especially if you are in any way a caretaker to someone, because if you don't clean off those connections over time, like gunk and dust just settles on them, and it creates small tensions or bitternesses that you just don't need. It just makes it harder. So it's good to cut cords so they get all cleaned off and nice, and your connections are as peaceful as they can be. So there's just a reminder for that. And it's also just saying it's time to kind of ask the universe to help you with this vibe. They're kind of ready for you to ask for help so they can just start putting it into play. It might not always seem like it's happening or anything's changing, but I'm really getting the message that as soon as you ask, like they've been waiting and ready, like standing by. They're like, let's go. Okay, we finally got the permission, the allowance to go do it. Let's go do it. So I would really recommend that. I think it's really going to make great change, great lessening of stress. Support, yeah, just like we were kind of talking about that one before. I also think with that, it's kind of correlating. I want to support you. God box is going to be good for manifestation. It says, write any worries, concerns, or desires on a piece of paper that you put into a special container called a God box as a way of letting go and allowing the divine to help you. So that's kind of releasing control and just allowing the universe to bring in the good. Hopefully you can work with this really well with full moon, new moon energies, and just overall anytime you can use a God box. But yeah, hopefully that card kind of explained it well enough. I think it would be really good for this pile to look into. It does feel like a very healing card, and it's going to help bring in new, healthy, happy beginnings. And really think it's going to help with all this stuff up here. The work stuff, teacher stuff, guidance stuff. So stop sensory overload. If too much is coming at you too fast, decrease your stimulation level. Take a break from people, dim the lights, and savor quietude. So as soon as I saw this card, I was like, oh boy, this is so starseed related. Funny enough, I don't know if they intended it, but I basically see this girl's wearing like a meteorite ring, which the only people who really love meteorite are usually people not from around here. Other people usually feel very uncomfortable wearing it. People who are starseeds feel grounded while wearing a piece of meteorite. While those who are not, who are more like human souls or from other maybe, I don't know, maybe elementals or something, might prefer not to have them because it's from outer space. They're not from outer space. They just feel wacky. They feel like their bodies are just, I don't know. If someone tried to explain it to me, they said it just feels really gross. So definitely starseed vibes. And with that saying, anxiety, maybe feeling like you have to help everyone, stress of dealing with everything, just being able to shut your brain off is going to help take away some of that stress. And obviously you can't just turn it off. So they're saying go away from people, listen to music that doesn't feel, I wouldn't say frequency music, actually. I was going to say music that you like, but sometimes we like music that can create more anxiety or anger or fear or make us feel like we have broken hearts. So frequency music will have like 99 hertz or 1111 hertz, 33.3 hertz, something along those lines. And I think if you go in there, put earplugs in and just listen to it and focus on breathing, I think that's really going to help this pile. Or if you already have a routine that helps you not feel so overloaded by everything or stressed or overwhelmed, do that. It's just a reminder to do that. Okay, that's actually all I have for you guys. Really cool pile to do a reading for. I really love seeing other energy workers come through in piles. It makes me really excited. I'm really excited that you're watching my channel. I'm like, yay, we found each other. But anyways, I hope that helped. Hope you found some suggestions that are going to work for you, some affirmations, whatever it is that you came looking for. I hope you found some of it here. If not, best of luck, and I'll see you guys around. Your pile you chose. I just actually have to mention, right before I started recording this, randomly what started playing on my phone is Whatever It Takes by High Valley. It's like a country love song. And it's funny because this is also a love oracle deck. You might not have known that before choosing it, but it's Doreen Virtue's romance deck. It can also be for finances, but it just seems so funny to me that a love song that just came on my phone. I was so confused. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from, and then realized my phone somehow started playing this random country love song out of nowhere. So that I just mentioned that to you guys. Anyways, we're gonna get right into this card reading now. We'll see what comes up. I'm really curious after that. Okay, pile 5. If I have ever seen a love reading, this is definitely one. So that being said, if you're like, I'm not even in a partnership, what is going on? Well, I can't tell you what's going on because everything here is saying people are in relationships. And I think you've gone through challenging time. Wow, sorry, I just keep getting caught up and I'm like, wow, if you guys haven't noticed, soulmate. Yes, this is your soulmate. Soulmate card. 2 soulmate cards. Not sure if I've ever seen that before. True love, passion, make the effort, reconciliation. Wow, we should just end the card reading right here. Basically, the partnership you're in is a soulmate relationship. It's worth keeping around. If you've been having issues with connection and passion, do not worry because it's saying if you make the effort and they start making the effort because you're making the effort and you forgive each other for whatever conflicts have been going on in your relationship lately to make you question it or even be feeling like you need to be seeing a card reading about it, it's saying this one is definitely worth keeping around, hanging in there a little bit longer, not just hanging in there, I should say, but doing things to get yourselves out of this rut because this relationship is really able to be a beautiful, supportive one. Everything I see is support, trusting. They can hold space for you. You can hold space for them. You can be them in tough times, emotionally difficult times, whatever way you want to look at it. This partnership has it within them to be there for you and be that space for you, and you are able to do that for them. But whatever miscommunication's been happening, and I do see it as miscommunication, listening to your intuitive feelings. I feel like when I see that, it means just when we get defensive, our egos get a little bit hurt. It's totally normal. If we feel like we're under attack, we're going to have a response. They're saying, this is coming up in your communication. Everything here is blue, 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 blue. Communication, communication. I think the number one reason why most couples have hard times is miscommunications. I can't really think of other reasons, to be honest, other than that, because if your communication's good, you can kind of work through anything. So that being said, you are being really called to heal the communication injuries that have happened between you two. I hope that made sense. They're like healing the communication or the harm that's come from certain miscommunications, things that weren't said or were said but were taken the wrong way. Working on that is really just going to heal this relationship. It's like all of a sudden getting that different perspective, understanding why these things have been happening the way they are, is gonna change everything. It's interesting because I don't feel like you guys need to necessarily call in a higher consciousness into your relationship. I feel like it's just tweaking some things, like realizing what's going on in your head that isn't being said out loud is going to be a game changer. And then cutting cords. This is really important when we're having conflicts with the people we love, because a lot of the conflict can come from small things being built up over time. And when you cut your cords between you, it kind of helps clear some of that old gunky energy that's just been layering on top of each other, and just allows for a better flowing relationship. It's not the end all be all cure, but it does really help with tensions and like old bitternesses. So if you're not even maybe necessarily feeling that, if the partner is really important, you cut cords just to give yourself an easier time in this relationship. The write about your feelings and thoughts keeps coming up. I'm like, if you guys have never heard of release writing, please look into it. It's gonna really help take also some of this attention and like maybe stop the flooding of anger or defensiveness or frustration from coming up as much in these communication misunderstandings with your partner, because instead of having all that built up within you, you're gonna have release some of it not directly at your partner. I hope that makes sense. We don't mean to. I should really say that. Like, we don't mean to, but if you're not letting it out anyway, where do you think it's gonna go? Except for when you're like angry and already found the person who's activating that anger. So please, 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 for your partner's sake and for your own sake, and not being angry with yourself after these conflicts or fights or miscommunications, please look into release writing. I really feel it. I see quite literally that it's going to clear you on all levels. Like, you really have some blocked emotions stuck in some of your chakras, and they want out, and you doing this release writing is going to be, I almost feel like a miracle. I don't want to make it sound like an end all be all thing, but wow, if we get rid of some of that anger, frustration, that hurt, that pain, that limiting beliefs, those feelings that are suppressed within us, it's going to help us in our relationships, friendships, parent relationships, this romantic relationship, because we're just going to be clear of mind and coming from the present versus the past and our past wounding. And I'm really hoping I'm making sense, because it's just so important for overall clear mind, clearer body, and for you to just not be filled with a bunch of icky feelings and being able to feel lighter within your own body. And I think when you do that, you're going to be more connected to your intuition. I really see that it's some inner child wounding, and when you do this release writing, it's going to heal you, and it's almost going to make you more of the adult person you are. It's going to be transformational, and I don't usually like giving these kind of things in readings, because but if you honestly try this and keep up with it, like do like a 5 minutes of release writing a day, or maybe after you get a misunderstanding with your partner, take a piece of paper and you just start writing out or typing out how you're feeling, but get to the root. Like, I'm so angry because of this. What does it make me feel like? Why am I so angry? Because it's really hurtful for someone to do this. Where else have I felt this hurt? So that's why I think you should look into it so that you kind of have some guidance on where to go with it, and do it before you're angry. Because if you're trying to release writing while you're just really angry and upset, it's really hard to want to read guidelines on how to do something like that. So have an idea how to do it, maybe even practicing it then, and then really make sure you're doing it if you've had a miscommunication with your partner. So that way you can even come back after maybe a few minutes or 5 or 10 minutes, whatever, maybe 20 minutes, maybe an hour, whatever it is, as long as that way you can come back with less aggression and defensiveness to talk about what happened, this miscommunication with your partner. Keep saying miscommunication. I'm trying to see if there's something else, but it keeps telling me that honestly, it's all really coming from that. There's just some healing needed around communication, and it's coming from both your own inner child wounding. So it's not even specifically the words you're saying to them, it's what it's reminding them of, this wounding they had as children, as young adults, that's coming up, and that's where the defensiveness is coming from. So there's not saying in any ways that you shouldn't be upset when these things happen, but maybe even you knowing that it's not even what you're doing necessarily, it's what it's reminding them of. Or a word that you're using could be a trigger word for them, like something that their family used and means a totally different thing to them than it does to you. So try to be mindful. I know that's really hard sometimes if you don't have more information, but I think you being able to talk about it, like do your release writing and then come back and talk about it, it's really going to help. Because I guess you can't see what I'm seeing, but I really see that this is such a beautiful relationship once it is in balance and in harmony. You don't usually see people with this many like yes cards. You go for it. It's really good. And then a random thing that I keep getting is if some of you really like red apples, eat red apples. I always randomly will get like a little bit of shamanic medicine in here where they'll tell me a fruit or a plant to take in to help with this transition. And it could be very beneficial for this pal to look into what healing energies do red apples bring. And maybe for some of you, it should even be they're not completely red cherries. They're like the yellowy red cherries. Maybe for some of you should be eating those. But like I said, only ever do what resonates with you. But for some people, some kind of healing energy that comes from these plants is really going to help you, I think, with your inner child work, which is going to lessen the issues within your miscommunication with your partner. And if you see how this cycle, you're just doing small things to get the cycle to be less intense, because worth working on, and forgiving yourself, forgiving your partner, making that effort. It is interesting because it says reconciliation, someone from your past is returning to your life. Honestly, this could be a message for someone who just needs to hear that, but the main vibe I'm picking up on is that this is the same partner. This is the person you're with right now. You're in relationship with them, and you just had this issue. Maybe some of you have even talked about taking like a break for a little bit. That could be what it's meaning there. But this isn't someone that has been gone for years out of your life. The energy that I'm picking up on is its current partner, or someone you've like haven't officially broken up with. You're just like, where do we go with this? We keep fighting, stuff like that. So yeah. And then when I see this tranquility of water card, that's really good, because I mean, a time of peacefulness is going to be coming into this relationship. Just got to make sure you're being accountable for your own part in it. And I feel like they are going to be accountable for their own part as well. I can't say that without a doubt, but something about seeing you doing this work and trying to do the best version that you can be is going to help your partner also want to do that. Because if this is soulmate energy, they don't want to lose you any more than you want to lose them. It's not, soulmates aren't one ways, it's two ways. Especially since you got two of them. There's one for each one of you. Okay. To your intuitive feelings. Dear higher self, thank you for speaking loudly and clearly in peaceful ways that I easily understand. Archangel Raphael, thank you for guiding me to listen to my inner wisdom. So this could be even with helping you maybe become aware when you are being emotionally overwhelmed or flooded by these other emotions that are making you not true to who you are now. They're coming up from defensive, strategic safeguards, I should say, that your younger self has put into you so that it can protect itself when it hears certain words or when certain feelings start coming up. So I think that's going to help. And also, you can always ask the Archangel Raphael to help you with healing these past blocks, with being with your partner and healing their inner child. They love working with that stuff. They just need your permission. So don't be afraid to ask. And then the Mother Mary card is very interesting. The Blessed Mother is helping you with your divine life purpose. So she's a very big healer. It's interesting. She's come up in a few cards or card piles now. Honestly, I don't know a lot on a spiritual sense about Mother Mary, but I have seen that she likes working with a lot of, I would say so far I've noticed a lot of women, just from my experience, and helping them find their life purpose and finding strength in the feminine energy and knowing that it's safe to be feminine and it's powerful. It could also be like male and females do have masculine and feminine energies. It could even be as if you're a male watching this, or even a female, honestly, that if you haven't felt safe being in the feminine energy and having those feelings of compassion and vulnerability and being really in connection with your emotions, Mother Mary is really going to help you work with that. If you're open to it, like I said, they need your permission, but helping you see that it's okay to be vulnerable, it's safe to be, just really honoring your own emotions. And I even think for this pile, it could be connecting with your own deeper emotions, because I think there's sometimes that you're very good at knowing exactly what's going on within yourself, but there could be some places where your mind for safety haven't let you go because they're like, oh, those feelings are scary. I don't want to deal with them. They're really hard to deal with when I was a kid, and I've just kind of put them in a box and I don't want to go there. And I'm not trying to say that you're unique in this. I actually think almost all human beings do this. It's beautiful to see that she is thinking you ready for her support to go deeper and deal with that, because that's something some people never even look at in their whole lives. And it's really beautiful to see that you guys are even open to having a guide come in and help you with that, because if you weren't, she wouldn't come in for it. They're never going to push you to do things you're not ready for or you don't want to do. So this is like kudos to you guys. You're really willing to have change in your relationship dynamics, because if I'm being honest, this probably has happened in other relationships, these miscommunications, in parent relationships, friendships, in other ways. And the soulmate is probably partially here to help you go to that deeper level, because ultimately you do have a lot of love for them. Maybe you don't quite remember it right now, but you do. And it might be the only thing that could really motivate you to go deeper, because I'd love to say all of us love ourselves enough to do the work, but most of us will put off things like that until we really, really feel cornered into doing it. So it's really amazing that that's even being brought into your card reading, because I really think you guys are truly trying to be the best people you can be, and that's really deserves being acknowledged for. It's really, really amazing. It's really a brave thing to do. A lot of us, like I said, would just go our whole lives without trying to go that deep. So awesome. That's really awesome. And don't forget to ask for her help. Don't forget to ask for that, because she'll bring it in at a gentle rate. It won't just be like, bam, here's all your emotions, deal with them. She's going to be like, okay, so we're going to work on this today. Let's see how this feels within you. Let's see what triggers this emotion. Let's see what's really going on deeper in this one section. So that's why it's really good to work with her. She's just going to bring it in on a very nice, more gentle way and guide you through it. And then I think we're already getting to the last card here. It says, to remove stress, immerse yourself into a soothing bath. Walk near a body of water or gently splash water on your face. So if you don't know, water is actually very grounding as well as clearing. So if you guys are open to it, I really like suggesting Epsom salt baths. It clears also our physical body as well as our energetical body from any negative things that could have collected or stuck to us. And if you've had a lot of issues in some of your relationships right now, you could be really needing this. You might not even realize how heavy you feel until you go and have like a 2 cups at least of Epsom salt in a bath and then come out of there and realize how much lighter you feel. Or that's my hope for you. And I'd also suggest putting some essential oils in that help with heart chakra in some way. So there's tons of different ones, cedar, pine. If you can find some kind of rose one, that would be really amazing. Floral ones are pretty good for the heart, but I just feel like that's just that extra intentional thing you can do to say, this is what I'm really trying to work on, hearing the heart chakra, being more open to receiving love, being more loving in my relationships, and being more self-loving. Yeah, what a cool reading, guys. There's a lot of turbulence right now that you're feeling, but working through this, you're going to have one of the greatest rewards. You're going to have truly one of the most beautiful, supportive, and I like it even says passionate relationships. I do just feel like I want to read this. It says, great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take, and making the effort is worth it. So that's, yeah, really, really amazing. And thank you for helping me tap into my God-given creativity and wisdom so I clearly express myself and, oh, sorry, I think that's a typo, myself and gain insight, blessings, and healings. Who knows? They use some weird words sometimes in these angel card decks. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck. Don't forget to look into release writing and cord cut with your partner and loved ones just to help with any of those extra lingering tensions that might just be hanging in the air. It's going to help release some of that. And I feel like you guys are really just looking for any suggestions you can get. So please, please, cord cut. If not for your own sake, for your partner's sake, for your relationship's sake. And ask Mother Mary to help you gently see the deeper emotions behind the things that you're going through. Okay, that's all I got. Best of luck. I hope things get a little better for you, and I'll see you around. Okay, pile 6. Let's get into your reading. Okay, pile 6. This is very neat card reading to see. I am seeing a lot of blocks being based off of a perfectionistic viewpoint. Something I just want to shed some light on is I have realized that when we have a bit of a perfectionistic viewpoint on doing things the best or not failing, we usually become incredible procrastinators, because if we don't make a choice, we can't make the wrong choice. If we don't start something, we can't make a mistake. And I do think that this pile could currently be dealing with some really tricky blocks around fear of failure, not doing things as good as people are wanting them to be done, or being as good at something as people are expecting you to be. And so the angels are really shedding some light on that, because you might not fully realize how much this is affecting you. I feel like sometimes people say perfectionism isn't really a fault, it's say a positive attribute, and it is and it isn't, because it causes usually a lot of stress on the person who has those perfectionistic tendencies, and it also puts these unattainable objectives on yourself and others and on the work you do. And it's really, really hard to be in that place. I honestly keep getting that it's really coming out in procrastination. And You might even feel like you've been really lazy lately, and it's really just coming from this fear of not doing things to the standards that you've set for yourself. Immediately makes me think of two solutions to kind of help with this and decluttering. So that could be your home. Maybe you have an office space that you work at, or your car if you drive a lot. Get rid of clutter wherever you can. Create kind of like organized space, and you don't need to do it in a perfect way. It doesn't need to be the most beautiful thing, but sometimes just getting rid of junk and buildup in our houses really helps with our own energy. Feng Shui really comes from a very interesting principle around how we can make the energy of our space the best for us. And I'm really trying to say, do not think you have to do this huge elaborate thing. Just get rid of some extra stuff you never use. Maybe you just have some boxes around that really are just creating more stuff in the way in your environments and don't feel great. So it'd be great to get rid of stuff like that. And I think that's kind of where I see obstacles and blocks are lifted. Really think that would help. And deciding to be happy now seems like a strange card to get. The message I'm getting from it is that you might be kind of a bit pessimistic. And I think it just comes from being like, oh, I didn't do good enough. This isn't good enough. Oh, I made this mistake. Oh, it could have been better. That kind of mindset. Archangel Michael is saying, realize how destructive that is on your own self, on your own life, on your relationships, on your personal relationship with yourself, how hard that's been on yourself and how much pressure it's put on yourself. And then when I notice myself saying negative things, I'm just going to try re-say a positive one after that, or say, oh, sorry, that came off a little more negative than I meant. I'm really excited to give this a try, or I'm really happy with the work I got done, or I've gotten a lot of work done and that's really awesome. Like trying to rephrase it. That's why he's saying decide to be happy now, because I think it's going to take your awareness and your intention, like your intentional efforts to shift this and realize when you're being too critical and how to start catching yourself when you're doing that and being course correcting is really the word I'm looking for. So it says to send out this prayer to Archangel Michael. Thank you for helping me open my heart to happiness, joy, and bliss. I'm now willing to see all the goodness in my life. And I don't think you guys are going to love that, but it's saying it's kind of puts you in this limiting bubble. The things you've been saying, the way you say things, because it is coming to the universe again and again, all this negativity. And if you'd notice, the people around us are mirrors. When we talk about ourselves one way, that's when they start saying the same things. If you start saying, like if someone says, oh, I'm really good at playing the guitar, people around them just say, oh yeah, they're really good at playing the guitar. Even if they've never heard the person play the guitar, they just repeat that because that's what that person always says. Every time they ask if they played an instrument, they say, oh, I'm really good at playing the guitar. So it's very interesting to see how what we say and put into our realities is what becomes true. So try to have that awareness. And then I'm seeing right away positivity, faith, and optimism. They're kind of really, there's two cards saying that. So they're really thinking that you need to start paying attention and shifting it intentionally, because it's not just going to change like that. People aren't just optimists just because they're born like that. It's because they intentionally try to have a more positive outlook. They try to see the good and have compassion towards themselves and acknowledgement towards themselves about what they have accomplished, not what they haven't done. So it says, you open the door to positive experiences and opportunities with your positive expectations and energy. Do not allow negative energy or temporary setbacks to interfere with the path that you are on. Keep the faith and keep going. There's something that you've been trying to work on this. So here's really a reminder that yes, please keep working at it, because it really is going to make a difference. There's a lot of blocks that are saying communication wise. So I think it is really coming from expectations that you might not have full awareness around that you're setting for yourself and for the others around you. Okay, let's see. Do the work. It's not enough to dream or pray. You've also got to take the positive action steps that are being divinely guided to take. It's interesting that I said positive action steps. So there is a lot of wanting more positivity in your life. I'm so sorry if you've heard this so many times. It probably could be a little bit annoying, but there is a reason why this message keeps coming up. And it's because the universe is seeing how this can really bring a lot more abundance and positivity. And I think less stress, less procrastination, less just dreading doing activities. So it says, consistently working on your priorities will make them flourish like a lush flower garden, working positively towards them in small steps. So you got to do the work, trying to consciously be more positive and course correct your words when you notice that they've kind of slipped away from that. Okay. And then cooperation instead of competition. This is something that's a bit tricky because I find when we want to be the best we can be, we've felt the pressures in our childhood and from our teachers, from our parents, from our friends to just be the best at something, or we're just not good enough, or we're not lovable. There's some kind of limiting belief here that I think you guys have grown up with, and that would cause a lot of competition to come up with other people. I feel like in team environments, you could accidentally fall into that where you might be trying to do it all and you don't need their help, but really everyone would benefit from working together and hearing each other's ideas because it's not really appropriate for that setting. It is a teamwork setting. You need to prove anything. Hope that you understand there is a lot of compassion that comes from people who have perfectionism because it has come from a place of not feeling loved for not being perfect. And that is really, really hard thing to grow up with. And that is why you're so driven by this energy. So I don't want you to think you're just, by being a perfectionist, you're not perfect. That's not where I'm trying to get at. It's just trying to say to understand yourself and where it's coming from and maybe why it ever started might help you start to release this a bit too. And so I do just want to read. Polish your creative project is fine, but don't allow perfectionistic fear to result in procrastination. Ooh, I didn't even say it said procrastination there, but yeah. Yeah, okay, and then I also want to read this card. What's yours is yours, and no one can take it from you. There's no need to compete, as there's an abundance for all. You have complete access to unlimited abundance for yourself and to share with others. With cooperative partnerships, you can accomplish anything. So I also, the way I read that is just, you might have a bit of a fear around working with people, maybe listening and hearing what they have to say, because maybe previously other people, I keep getting teamwork or like being like in a group at school with doing like schoolwork together, where some people have kind of not been as good at something or cared as much and has brought down your goal or brought down your score, and it created this like a bit of bitterness towards some people, but not everyone's like that. It's like a reminder to make sure you're listening to people's ideas and that they're hearing yours and like involve them in the process, because other people also have some great ideas out there, and other people do also feel like you and have like this, I just want to do everything myself, that way you can be sure it's done right. And try being more open to hearing other people out, because there are some really good ideas out there, and I feel like you actually would work really good in inspiring other people's ideas and coming up with an even better idea in the end, working together with more harmony. But yeah, like I said, only ever take what messages resonate. That's just really important for someone who feels like, I feel like there's a lot of anger there with that card, a bit of some history there. Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate, but I do just, that is just coming from some wounding with past experiences, and like I said, very, very pressuring parents or teachers who have created this this block with it. So explore your options. Dear God or Archangel Michael, whatever resonates, thank you for your wisdom and love, helping me see, understand, and assess all of my alternative options. Please guide me in the best direction for my health, happiness, and life purpose. Explore your options. So I think this could be coming from some procrastination areas where you might not know the right decision to take and you might have frozen a little bit, or maybe just the option that immediately was presented to you didn't really excite you, and they're just reminding you that you can take a bigger look at things. You don't have to go with just this one suggested way. There are other options out there for you, and don't be afraid to kind of look around at them. There's something out there for you. And I do feel like this is for school people. Something about courses, or maybe a course isn't as you've hoped it to be, and don't be afraid to change things up. It's okay to restart. Abundance. Do feel like this is allowing more abundance in. Usually a lot of need for control, for certainty. And when we do that, we kind of shut out the universe from bringing in good things for us. I do see that a lot just in any card reading, because us as humans really struggle with that. I really suggest looking to affirmations for this group. An affirmation around accepting help from the universe, being open to receiving help from others. Something around that could be really good. Some of you might play the guitar or music. Actually, there's a few things about music that's come up here that might help you feel better. So if that is true for you, maybe just remember to use that as the outlet. Maybe even thinking about getting guitar lessons or something. Go that way. Just something that is just for you. I actually do think it's guitar or some kind of like, that shaped musical instrument. I don't know musical instruments very well, so I apologize. But I think that might be something, could even be what you wanted to go to school for, but then you didn't because of some expectations your parents may have had for you. And card readings are always going to be about honoring the thing that you're most divinely guided to, your soul's the most happy doing. So it's going to say, maybe you should look into that option, taking a course on that. Because, they just think whatever you're doing, and if you're loving it, you bring more goodness into this world, and your soul does better when it's happy in all areas. And then, funny enough, it's followed by a card that says align your actions so they match your values and inner knowingness of what's right for you. So if there is something about being in the wrong course or schooling system or career or something like that, it's saying really follow your heart. I feel like you've been keeping it a secret. You don't want anyone to know. If you're too scared to jump fully into something, like I said, just take maybe a course on the side or something like that. It's okay if you're not great at it. It's okay to fail. Your heart's going to be happy knowing you tried versus wondering the what ifs for the rest of your life. And that's a really important message for someone. And that could be too specific for everyone. So like I said, just take what resonates. It might just be for a person here who needs to hear that. And then look at the stars, look up and remember that you are but a tiny speck in a large, mysterious universe. Let the magic of the stars connect you to your own special magic. You guys could have very logical thinking brains and understanding just the gravity on a universal physical understanding that you're just a tiny being and that you don't have sorry, my cats are going crazy. You don't have to be the solution for everything and do everything and come up with the cure for cancer and all that stuff. I think it's going to take some pressure off of you when you take small moments to recognize things like that. Like, wow, there's so many huge stars in the universe. I'm just another person in the universe, and it's not all on me to do everything. I think that kind of mentality helps, not thinking that you're insignificant, because that's not true. You bring a lot of value to this world, so don't think that for a second, but just not feeling the pressure of everything's on you. We are all part of the same universe. We're all here to support and learn from each other. Okay, I hope that helped. That was a little bit everywhere. I'm hoping I touched on every card. I think I talked about this card. I'm not sure if I just saw it or talked about it, but saying, yes, ask Untitled Raphael for help with connecting yourself to your intuitive feelings, not thinking so much on the things you should be doing and these expectations, but connecting with your intuitive feelings, your passions, that music aspect, if you're really feeling that, making sure that you're following the nudges towards that. And just working with him in general, I think would be really good for you guys, because he's gonna really helps with healing, like inner self healing, healing our expectations, healing sometimes the words we've said to ourselves or the words that other people have said to us. And on that note, my suggestion for you guys would be to make sure that you guys are clearing your ear chakras regularly. How you do that, Archangel Jophiel, maybe try Raphael, because he's the one who came up in this reading for you. There are angels who clear our ear chakras, so every word that's ever been said to you or you've said to yourself in your mind or out loud is cleared. It just helps with those circling thoughts about things that people have said to you. If you're like, oh, people have always said I'm not good enough, or I'm not trying hard enough, if something like that's going on in your head, you want to make sure you're regularly clearing the ear chakras. They're actually above your temples. So that being said, if this pile gets a lot of headaches by your temples, or you're always touching that, that could be your physical body sign. It wants you to clear your ear chakras, eliminate some of that pressure. And isn't it crazy? Like, the pressure from people's words is literally creating a physical pressure on your brain. The power of thoughts, the power of things said to us is really, really quite crazy. All right. That's all I got for you guys. Good luck. I hope you feel a little bit better. You're a little easier on yourselves. You don't need to carry the weight of the world. You don't need to do everything. Just remember, clutter your space. Try to pay attention to when you're saying things that aren't positive about yourself, and acknowledge yourself for all the work you have done and all the good stuff you have created. Okay, I'll see you guys around.